This is CBN NewsWatch.
Thanks for joining us for CBN NewsWatch. I'm Wendy Griffith. History was made Wednesday night when House Democrats impeached President Donald Trump. Now it's uncertain when and if the case will move to the U.S. Senate. Charlene Aaron has been following the story and has more. Charlene.
Wendy, things are still tense on Capitol Hill after Wednesday's historic vote to impeach the president. Democrats voted to impeach President Trump for abuse of power and obstruction of Congress regarding a phone call he had with the president of Ukraine. The votes were mostly among party lines as 3 Democrats joined with Republicans to vote no on the issue. The president says the move to impeach him will backfire on Democrats.
This lawless partisan impeachment is a political suicide march for the Democrat Party.
There's uncertainty about when and if the case will move to the U.S. Senate. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi declined to say when or even if Democrats would deliver the articles of impeachment to the Senate, citing concerns about a fair trial. Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell blasted what he called the most rushed, least thorough, and shoddy impeachment in modern history. He said Democrats are too afraid to send the articles of impeachment to the Senate.
This particular House of Representatives has let its partisan rage at this particular president create a toxic new precedent that will echo well into the future. It looks like the prosecutors are getting cold feet in front of the entire country and second-guessing whether they even want to go to trial. They said impeachment was so urgent that it could not even wait for due process, but now they're content to sit on their hands. This is really comical.
And leaders from both parties are scheduled to meet to work out the details concerning the Senate trial. Wendy?
All right, not very comical at all. Well, thank you, Charlene. Beyond impeachment, what are the Russia and Ukraine investigations likely to uncover, especially in the U.S. intelligence community and FBI? Appearing on this week's episode of The Global Lane, former federal prosecutor Sidney Powell says she expects criminal indictments early next year.
Now, the emails of FBI lawyer Kevin Klein-Smith showed that he hated Donald Trump. He altered a FISA warrant, which allowed spying, and that's what Attorney General Barr calls it, spying on the Trump campaign. So was this just an error, Sidney, or a criminal act?
That's a criminal act. To affirmatively alter a document underlying a search warrant is tampering with evidence and obstruction of justice. There are any number of statutes that could apply to that conduct, which is why Mr. Klein-Smith has been referred for criminal investigation. And I cannot imagine that he would not be prosecuted for that. I mean, it's absolutely abhorrent. An FBI lawyer doing a 180-degree alteration of a document.
You said the people on the investigative teams were handpicked for a reason. So who handpicked them? What was the reason?
I'm sure they were handpicked by McComey and Strzok and McCabe, and they were picked because they knew them well enough to trust them with what their result-driven investigation intended to be. I can't help but note that on August 15 is when Page and Strzok texted each other, about the insurance policy they just discussed in McCabe's office. And I don't think it's a coincidence that the next day they opened the investigation on General Flynn, and the day after that is when they sent the agent into the presidential daily briefing to take notes on Flynn. So Flynn, either the assault and prosecution of Flynn was either the insurance policy or a substantial part of it.
Who else do you think is under the microscope now by John Durham? Comey, Clapper, Brennan, McCabe, and how likely are we to see indictments there?
I think all of those are under Mr. Durham's microscope, and I think indictments are a strong possibility.
Soon or later?
I would say within the next 4 months or so.
Well, after visiting Ukraine recently, Rudy Giuliani tweeted that, quote, a large-scale joint investigation into Ukraine and the U.S. would uncover and recover billions of stolen goods by crooks from both countries at the highest level. So he later said that impeachment is, quote, a smokescreen for the Obama-Biden administration's corruption. It will soon be proven, he said. Do you agree? What do you think?
I don't know what evidence he has or is looking at other than the little bit that's been made public. But obviously there was some sort of pay-to-play going on with Biden's son. And Mr. Biden himself admitted on national television, or at least it's certainly been broadcast that way since then, about having deliberately withheld and threatened to withhold funds from Ukraine to achieve the end of the investigation of Burisma. And apparently there were 17 or so investigations going on related to Burisma that were halted as a result of Mr. Biden's actions. So it sounds like there was a whole lot going on with that company that needs to be fully investigated.
Finally, I've got to ask you this, too. I mean, Lieutenant General Flynn was highly decorated for his years of service to the country. I know he was appointed Defense Intelligence Director by President Obama. And then he goes to work for Trump. He's attacked by members of the deep state almost as if he were a traitor to his country. And now he's been bankrupted, his reputation ruined. Now I'm sure he learned a lot about our intelligence community in that role as DIA director. And he was quite outspoken, I know, against radical Islam. So why was he targeted, Sydney?
He had made very clear that he was going to audit the entire intelligence agency as national security advisor to the president. He knew where all the bodies were buried. He knew all the things they've been doing wrong. And he was going to hold them all accountable for it. I mean, there are billions of dollars in operations being run off the books and conduct like we see here, the horrible abuse of the National Security Administration that's been documented by FISA court Judge Rosemary Collier and Judge Boasberg. The whole intelligence community has been off the rails for years and no one's held them accountable. He was going to do that. And he'd also been extremely outspoken, and the Afghanistan papers just published by the Washington Post show this, that he was sounding the alarm about the war in Afghanistan and had been very vocal about what a failure that was, too.
And you can hear more from Sidney Powell and also Kim Jong-un's pledge to send an unwelcome Christmas gift to Donald Trump. That's all on the Global Lane tonight, 9:30 Eastern, only on the CBN News Channel. Well, the FBI is not cleared of wrongdoing in the Trump-Russia probe, so says Justice Department Inspector General Michael Horowitz. In a second day of testimony, Horowitz cited serious mistakes and omissions in applications for warrants to spy on Trump campaign advisor Carter Page. In his report, he highlights misdeeds, including leaving out information that Democrats funded research for the Steele dossier, a main source cited in the applications. Also omitted the fact that Page was not working for a foreign government to influence the election. Senator Lindsey Graham says it's clear investigators abused the FISA application process.
If it's not a system problem, that tells me that people in the Carter Page case got drunk with power, had a personal agenda, and they acted on it. If it's a systematic abuse, it tells me that the FISA process needs to be dramatically reformed. Either way, it's bad.
The FISA court's presiding judge is ordering the government to give written proof by January 10th that every warrant application was accurate. Well, today, Secretary of State Mike Pompeo announced 3 new strategic moves against Iran to encourage the country to stop violating human rights. Pompeo says he redesignated Iran as a country of particular concern under the Iran Religious Freedom Act. He also says the U.S. will sanction 2 Iranian judges whose sentences have routinely violated human rights and will restrict visas for those directly responsible for the persecution of the Iranian people who seek to practice the religion of their choice.
Thugs killing people's children will not be allowed to send their own children to study in the United States of America.
The new initiatives come a day after the United Nations General Assembly passed a resolution calling on Iran to end its ongoing human rights violations. A spokesman for the Iranian Foreign Ministry has condemned the resolution. Well, be sure to catch up on the latest from our nation's capital tonight on Faith Nation. You can watch it right here on the CBN News Channel. New reports of Hamas and Turkey in a silent partnership ganging up on Israel. Britain's Telegraph reports Hamas is planning attacks on Israel from Turkey while President Erdogan turns a blind eye. The article quotes transcripts of Israeli police interrogations, saying senior Hamas operatives are finding safe haven in Istanbul to plot their attacks, including an attempted assassination of the mayor of Jerusalem. President Erdogan says his country will continue to support, quote, our brothers in Palestine. Coming up, how pregnancy centers around the country are changing. But before we go to the break, here's a look at what's trending on CBNNews.com.
Introducing the CBN Bible from CBN.com. Now, an easier way to study the Bible and grow in your faith. Highlight your favorite verse. Read separate versions at a glance. Click and read a commentary. Or cross-reference your favorite verse using the Strong's Concordance. All the right tools to study the Bible, all in one place. The CBN Bible, available at cbn.com/Bible or the iTunes App Store.
This is CBN NewsWatch.
Thanks for joining us.
Watch breaking news, exclusive stories and programs, credible news reporting.
We show you what's happening in the world and how you can pray about it.
This is CBN NewsWatch, because truth matters. Weekdays at 5 on the CBN News Channel.
Yes, right on time.
From Superbook.
Pepper's Pizza Palace is donating pizza for everyone today. Wait. I have big plans today.
Trust in God, even when times are tough. He has a plan for your life.
Hey, we're gonna be late for the grand opening.
My parents want me to help with this outreach thing, feeding the community. What am I supposed to do here? Superbook!
Join the Superbook Club and get Superbook The Birth of Moses, plus 2 copies to share with others, all for your gift of only $25.
Pharaoh ordered all newborn Hebrew boys thrown into the Nile River, and I have a 3-month-old brother.
The Birth of Moses. Yours for a gift of only $25.
What will you do the next time the soldiers come? I do not know, but I trust God has a plan for all of us.
Superbook Club members, free streaming for seasons 1, 2, and 3 is now available.
A growing chain of women's pregnancy centers in Texas is now offering contraception. Historically, pregnancy centers have not done this, but CBN's Heather Sells spoke with Andy Schoonover, CEO of The Source, about how centers around the country are rethinking the model.
Andy, thanks for joining us. You are pro-life and so are your clinics, but you decided to go in a different direction and offer contraception. What motivated you?
Yeah, I got here about 2 years ago. I started with the organization, and I originally was very skeptical of using contraception as a tool to help some of these women. But as I saw women come into our centers who were on their second or their third or their fourth abortions, I just realized that we had to take a more proactive approach in reducing unplanned pregnancies. And so along with STD, STI testing, well woman checkups, prenatal care, we've also expanded our services to offer contraception.
And some pro-life people are worried that if you offer contraception, it will encourage people to have sex outside of marriage. What is your response to that?
Yeah, all the studies out there show, or most of them show, or at least the big ones show that that's just not the case. Most of the women, all the women actually, who come into our offices are they're either pregnant or they have an STD, STI, or are at high risk. And so these women are not in that decision-making process of having sex or not having sex. They have crossed over that bridge, and now the question for us is, one, how do we protect them? And then 2 is, how do we bring them back across the bridge to a more biblical view of sex? And we think that using a tool like contraception, we can build a relationship with them and then gradually introduce them to the gospel. And like I said, hopefully bring them back to a more biblical view of sex.
Mm-hmm. And so far, what are you finding with this, with the women that you've been supplying with contraception? How's it been working out?
Well, we're actually starting in January, so it will be new for us in January. We just announced it this month, so we'll see. We're actually embarking upon a study to show that we can actually reduce risky sexual behaviors, reduce unplanned pregnancies, and introduce more women to the gospel. And that study is going to start next year. It's going to be a one-year study that we hope will prove out our theory.
There's also concern that some contraception, like the morning after pill, is actually a form of abortion. How do you plan to handle that?
Yeah, we're not using any abortifacients. And so there was a pretty famous Hobby Lobby case from 3 or 4 years ago in conjunction with the Affordable Care Act, where Hobby Lobby said we don't want to pay for these 4 forms of contraception because they thought they were abortifacients. And we agree with Hobby Lobby on that. And so we are going to keep from offering those forms of contraception.
As you know, Planned Parenthood decided to forego federal Title X funding this year rather than comply with new rules that restricted its ability to refer women for abortions. You are now able to compete for that money by offering this contraception. How big of an opportunity is this for you to grow?
Well, we think it's a big opportunity, but this is our growth plans is not predicated upon getting this Title X money. We are in the middle of a capital campaign to raise $20 million to build an additional 20 clinics throughout the state. We have 8 currently in the state of Texas, in the 4 major metropolitan areas. So sorry about that. We are going to build 20 more clinics in the state. We have 8 currently, and we're raising $20 million to do that.
All right. And any other pro-life pregnancy centers in the country that you know of that are offering contraception right now? Do you think you're the first?
No, we're not the first, actually. We've had an article come out in the Washington Post about a month ago now, and since then we've had a couple organizations reach out to us and say, "Oh, thought we were the only ones doing this, and now you all are doing it. We're welcome to the club." So there are a couple others that we've heard from that are doing this. So we're not the first.
All right. Well, it's going to be interesting to follow. Andy Schoonover with The Source. Thanks for your time.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Heather. Up next, what you can do so the stress of the holidays doesn't get the best of you. Our health reporter has some tips right after the break.
When I came to Regent University, it's like the world opened up. I felt like I needed to advance my career and go back to school. Regent was a perfect fit for me. The Regent professors are world class. You are equipped. The focus of the faculty is on each individual student, whether it's online or in person. You become a part of Regent's family. You carry with you not just the content and the knowledge, but the confidence to understand that we can be significant in the world.
Regent University. Follow your path.
Nigerian Christians
in Iran are routinely arrested.
Happily, Christians continue to suffer.
In times of trial and affliction, you need to know the truth.
One of the fastest growing Christian populations in the world.
Join Wendy Griffith and George Thomas for Christian World News.
Young people are the ones who are open to the gospel.
Powerful stories of suffering and hope that affect all Christians. Watch Christian World News, Saturday at 5 p.m. Get Protect Your Sleep and discover how to improve the quality of your life. A free DVD or booklet from the Christian Broadcasting Network.
If you're not a great sleeper, you can do things to make yourself a great sleeper. If you're already a pretty good sleeper, you can enhance your sleep and be even better.
5 leading experts help remove the obstacles between you and restorative sleep.
When you don't get a restful night's sleep, you wake up with an accumulation of stress.
Call 1-800-700-7000 or go to CBN.com to get your free DVD or booklet today.
Everything you do better with a good night's sleep.
You'll discover how food affects your sleep, how to put insomnia to rest, explore effective remedies for sleep apnea, and much more in Protect Your Sleep. Wake up to your best life and get Protect Your Sleep today. Call 1-800-700-7000 or go to CBN.com to get your free DVD or booklet.
America's obesity problem is growing out of control. Nearly half of all Americans will be obese by 2030, and about 1 in 4 Americans will be severely obese. That's the prediction in an analysis published by the New England Journal of Medicine. It's based on more than 20 years of data from 6.3 million adults. The study projects severe obesity will be most common among women, Black adults, and low income adults. Well, we hope not. And our physical health isn't the only thing that's important. We have to take care of our minds. Over the next few weeks, we'll celebrate the birth of Jesus and ring in a brand new year. But for many, what's supposed to be the best time of year is not. Health reporter Lori Johnson has a few tips on how to stay mentally healthy during the holidays.
Like millions of Americans, Karen McGrath dreads the holidays.
Leading up to it, you just think it's going to be too painful. You can't handle it.
Her son Chandon died 3 years ago in a diving accident, and both of her parents died a short time after that. Then came a divorce, which means her kids will spend much of the holidays with their dad.
There's a hole, there's an emptiness, there's a longing that you want to be with them instead of being left here.
And it's not just the absence of family that contributes to the holiday blues.
These holiday times, a lot of times, are tense, and there's a lot of angst regarding family members. If your family has been problematic all year long, most likely when they show up at your house, things are going to be problematic.
In addition to relationship problems, another source of sadness during the holidays is the belief that happiness is based on how much money we spend. Here are some ways to help beat the holiday blues. Plan ahead. Make a budget for gifts, travel, food, and donations. Schedule tasks like holiday baking and shopping so they're less stressful. Reach out, because focusing on someone else tends to lift your spirit and theirs. Churches, hospitals, and nursing homes all need volunteers this time of year. And bury the hatchet.
Even though that person is difficult and maybe even mean at times, you be the person of Christ to that person. You exercise grace, you exercise forgiveness, you give them the benefit of the doubt, and you do what Jesus said. You bless those who curse you. You love your enemies. You act like Jesus to that person, and you would be surprised at how far that can go in the long run.
Arrange get-togethers well in advance so you won't be caught alone. Isolation can lead to depression. If you can't be around loved ones, find new ways to celebrate together, such as sharing pictures, emails, or videos. And don't forget to exercise. People who think exercise only benefits the body are really only seeing half the picture. The truth is, exercise is a powerful mood booster, a natural way to feel happy. That's because during exercise, the body releases endorphins, neurotransmitters that have euphoric and pain-relieving properties similar to morphine.
If there's a day I'm having a bad day, I'm stressed out, I'm tired, sometimes working out reverses all of that. So I come into the gym, I forget about my problems, I concentrate on what I'm actually doing physically, and it helps me mentally.
Unfortunately, exercise is one of the first things skipped during the holidays. Some gyms offer incentives to keep members moving during the holidays. The YMCA is giving shirts to each member who works out at least 3 times a week. And the social interaction is an added bonus.
When somebody knows your name, it just feels good. It feels good to see somebody that you know, and with the small groups and small communities that we form here, people really have that sense of community.
Eat healthy, because overindulgence leads to feelings of guilt. Get plenty of rest so you're strong enough to meet the emotional demands while you're awake, and make time to pray daily.
Talking to God, slowing yourself down, allowing for quiet time, giving your mind a chance to rest in the Lord and really focus on who God is and what He says about you.
I mean, how else could I do it if I didn't have God? There's no way. I'd be in a mental hospital.
So by taking spiritual and practical steps, you can enjoy good emotional health throughout the holidays. Lori Johnson, CBN News.
Christians around the world are standing with the Israelis. But why? In CBN's free magazine, Friends of Israel, you'll discover why Christians are supporting the Jewish state, how Israel is fulfilling prophecy as a light to the nations, and ways you can pray for the people of Israel. Israel needs the support of friends like you. Call now or go to CBN.com to get your free copy of Friends of Israel.
Heavenly Father, we do thank you for the work of your Spirit, Lord God, with this movement of getting the Bible,
yes,
Lord, into public schools.
Watch The Prayer Link, Tuesday nights at 6:30.
Hey, if you're tired and exhausted all day, you can't think clearly, and you really just need a cup or even a pot of coffee to get through your day, then join me, Dr. Josh Axe, for this new series where I'm going to teach you how to transform your diet and use essential oils and supplements to get a better night's sleep.
Protect your sleep and live your best life with innovative information from 5 leading sleep experts.
If you're not a great sleeper, you can do things to make yourself a great sleeper. If you're already a pretty good sleeper, you can enhance your sleep and be even better.
Discover a sleep-enhancing bedtime routine, how to put insomnia to rest, learn how to relieve pain that disturbs sleep, and much more in Protect Your Sleep.
Everything you do better with a good night's sleep.
Wake up to your best life. Call 1-800-700-7000 to get your free DVD or booklet of Protect Your Sleep today.
Don't miss out on this brand new series.
It has the power to influence weight loss, boost your immune system, and improve brain function.
We've seen an explosion of data on the role of the gut microbiome in health.
The free Build a Better Gut booklet reveals the latest information about the gut microbiome. You'll discover how your gut affects the rest of your health.
The gut microbiome has been linked to depression and cancer and heart disease.
Learn how to build a stronger, healthier gut.
The microbiome, if it's in good composition, are really protecting us all the time from more invasive things.
Get the Build a Better Gut booklet, free from the Christian Broadcasting Network. Call 1-800-700-7000 or go to cbn.com/buildabettergut.
You need to make sure that your microbes are working with you, not against you.
And if you order online, you'll get immediate access to the Build a Better Gut series, a digital copy of the booklet, and related bonus material. Build a Better Gut today. Call 1-800-700-7000 or go to cbn.com/buildabettergut for your free copy.
Grammy Award-winning Christian artist Lauren Daigle visited the Louisiana State Penitentiary to share the gospel. Daigle performed and announced that her fans raised $17,000 to help inmates make phone calls and get new clothes for Christmas. The facility is known as the Alcatraz of the South and is the largest maximum security prison in the U.S. Most of the inmates are serving life sentences and will likely never experience another Christmas outside of prison. During her performance, she reminds the inmates that God meets them exactly where they are. What a great thing to do for Christmas. Well, that's it for this edition of CBN NewsWatch. We hope you'll join us next time. From all of us here, have a great day, and God bless you.